Hey there, welcome to First Glance with Jody Vance. Yet again, we have a great opportunity to introduce you to a company, a Canadian company, positions perfectly for you to look at for your investment portfolio. One of those getting in on the ground floor, getting in and watching something grow, something build, and something, as we all kind of are doing in this new era, I guess, post-COVID, where we've all taken a moment to look through our investment portfolio and ask ourselves the why question. So we're going to get into the whys and the hows of this particular Canadian junior mining company. SKRR Resources is the name of the company. We have the chairman of the board with us today. Ross McElroy is with us. Hi, Ross. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, it's a great pleasure. Nice to be here with you.
I'm really excited to talk about this because, I mean, we do focus a lot on Canadian companies and Canadian investments. And we've learned a lot over the last 18, 19 months through COVID-19, you know, sort of the importance of the at home in your backyard and keep your country thriving, make business thrive within your own borders. And that's why I reference people, you know, sort of looking in their portfolio and trying to find ways to keep some dollars at home as well. Let's talk about the three properties that SKRR Resources has in the works. And I think your drilling schedule is like as we speak right now.
It is. We're about to embark probably by this weekend. I think we'll start drilling on a property called Manson Bay. Manson Bay, just for some geographic context, is very close. It's in Saskatchewan, but it's close to the border of Manitoba. It's about 40 kilometers from the town of Flin Flon, and Flin Flon borders Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And just for location, or I guess some context again, with Flin Flon, it's one of Canada's major mining districts. They've been an important producer of zinc, copper, and gold as well. So we're pretty close to that location.
Okay, so one of the reasons why we have the chairman of the board here today is to sort of give some context to this company. And in doing some research, I found, you know, in quotes, basically, many decorated mining veterans have collected to be a part of SKRR Resources. Tell us a little bit about your company's story.
Sure. Okay. Well, I guess it all starts with the name SKRR. Saskatchewan, there's our initials. I think one of the R's, Sherman named the company, Sherman Dahl, our CEO. He's very imaginative and came up with the name, but I guess to represent the province of Saskatchewan. But the first R would probably be Ron Nedlitsky. Ron Nedlitsky's probably, in my opinion, Canada's best geologist, or certainly one of the most decorated. He's one of the most successful. He's had an entire career of being a mine finder, and he was one of the founders of this company as well. And as Sherman puts it, he says the other R is for me. You know, Sherman and I were important founders with Ron's backing as well. So that's where the R's come in. And I'm a geologist. I've been at this in the resource sector through exploration and mining for the last 35 years or so.
Wow. On the TSX venture, SKRR, you'll never forget it now, S for Saskatchewan and KRR for the important people involved. US investors can find SKRR.F on the OTC. So let's dive into where we are. I keep referencing COVID-19, how things have shifted and changed, and access and being able to do the research, development, exploration, drilling, testing, all of the pieces of the mining puzzle. Why invest in gold exploration now?
Well, I think you'll notice even throughout all of COVID, that gold is an important commodity. It keeps, coming to the forefront every time that there's any uncertainty at all in the economy. Gold is the alternate that people run to. It's had a great history for thousands of years as being an important player, and it's just as important in today's economy as it ever was. So it's always an important part of the base of money is gold. So I think that's really one of the keys, and the price of the commodity is quite strong right now. We're looking at prices over $1,800 US an ounce in gold, so it's held up relatively well. And in fact, if you look at it, chart its path over the last year or two, it's up significantly, substantially. So investors are probably wise to be taking a look at gold as part of their portfolio.
So we have veteran geologists with great roots, if you will, in mining and technology in Canada, specifically Canadian properties in an area of the country known to be rich in resources. This Canadian junior mining company that is SKRR. Ross, in terms of lessons perhaps learned in the last 2 years. I've had many interviews with people who had great properties scattered all over the globe. And yet when COVID hit, couldn't get there, couldn't get your people there, couldn't access it. This sort of a company to invest in, with it being super hyper Canadian local, that can give some comfort, I guess, perhaps to an investor who might be concerned.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what, speaking globally, COVID has been a challenge for everybody, and it's been a challenge for us too in Canada and the various jurisdictions. I think though we've been able to, I've noticed over the last even year, the last 12 months or 14 months, companies have been able to operate within this environment. We make sure that, there's a limited amount of people coming and going once the properties, the activities are ongoing at the property. We keep the same drill crews there throughout the program. So you're really limiting the amount of people that are fluctuating in and out. It's one of the benefits. And I think Canada is, on the forefront of the COVID fight. If you look at, just talking about our vaccinations, I'd say we're right up there with some of the best in the world as far as vaccination. So it's a relatively safe place to work in the world of COVID. But and there are, I guess, areas that we quite understand the jurisdiction and the environment that we work in. So it's been pretty good. We've been able to successfully operate in our environment. Navigating
that, I can tell you that Canada is, pardon the pun, the gold standard when it comes to per capita vaccination uptake, which is very good news, and good news for Canadian business. So for the investor who is perhaps become extra discerning in the last 18 months, what would you say to them in terms of messaging? Like where are we headed? Where SKRR Resources, when you have your AGM or your board meetings and you sit down and you say, okay, here's our vision, here's our goal, here's where we're headed. What do you say? Sure.
Well, I'll get into one aspect here in a bit, and that's the geologic potential, the district we're at. But I will say that what's also on most investors' radar is working in a jurisdiction that has strong concern for the environment and for social and community governance. And I think that's where Canada ranks very highly. And in fact, the province of Saskatchewan is ranked by a number of institutions as, right up there in the upper 2 or 3 places in which to conduct mining activities. So, investment friendly environment. So, from that perspective, it's a very good place to be. Geologically, I can't think of a better environment. I've spent the better part of my career in Saskatchewan. It's host to one of the other areas I work in is uranium, and it's host to, the best uranium deposits in the world. I mentioned earlier at the talk, we talked about the Flin Flon area. This is one of Canada, in fact, the world's premier districts for VMS, volcanic massive sulfide deposit, which are important suppliers of zinc, copper, gold. So, geologically extremely well endowed. Politically, you're in an environment that is probably ranked, right up there in the best places. And so we think we've got, excellent opportunities to be able to explore. It's in our backyard, where it's easily accessible. And so we're comfortable and we're ready to get going in this area.
Okay, so for those investors who are like, okay, well, I'm pretty much sold. I just have a couple of questions and I can't get into Jody's ear and get her to ask Ross McElroy these in the midst of this interview. How do they get to you and find a way to connect with you or Sherman or others?
I think the website is probably the best portal for the general public to be able to access, and the SKRR.com or .ca, I believe, or it's probably our number one easily accessible areas. There's a lot of presentation material out there. Yeah. Anybody that wants to get into the nitty gritty can look for all of our filings on CDR. But, I think that we do attend a lot of conferences, and, we work very hard to get the message out so that people are familiar with not only who the company is, but what are our activities and what are we on to next, so I think that there's a lot of good information, but the website's probably the main portal that I would go through on that.
SKRR.ca. SKRR Resources is the name of the company. Ross McElroy is the chairman of the board. As I mentioned, this is a Vancouver-based Canadian junior mining company. If you're going to the TSX Venture, it's SKRR. If you are spending US dollars, you can find them on the OTC at SKRR.F, correct? Correct. Okay, just making sure I have all my symbols right, because people do definitely just get an ear on it here and then go looking for it and adding it to their apps. And we love that here on First Glance with Jody Vance. If you'd like more information, again, SKRR.ca is the website, or get out and get to one of the mining conferences if you're in the business, if you're in the industry. It's good to get to have a walk around and a talk with legends like Ross McElroy. You literally were listed as a mining industry legend. I'll just have you know when I searched you.
Thank you. Good.
Good to speak with you. Come back and let us know how the exploration goes and how your latest drilling goes and with any updates. Appreciate it.
We'll be very happy to provide updates. I think it'll be a pretty exciting time. Once we get going on the projects, news happens quite quickly. So I encourage everybody to stay tuned to what we're up to.
This is your open invitation to come and have tea with me anytime.
Wonderful. Would love to follow up. Thank you very much.
Cheers.